Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 18 of From the Van. It's a podcast from my van, where I have conversations with people who have relationships with residential vehicles. Today's episode features Brooke Sanchez. We met her at an Independence Day party at our friend Yasmin's house on July the 4th, the 1-year anniversary of us purchasing this van. Super cool Texan native who now lives in Southern California in a tall-top, short-wheelbase Ford Transit. We had a really good conversation with her. I think you'll enjoy it. Keep in mind that you can always go over to www.fromthevan and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube or all of those and give lots of 5-star reviews, and that would be much appreciated. Here it goes, episode 18 of From the Van featuring Brooke Sanchez. We'll see you on the other side. All right, Brooke Sanchez.
Yes, that's
Hello.
me. Hi.
Welcome to the podcast.
So excited. I'm mainly excited about your new sticker.
I'm stoked on it, man. I'm super proud of it.
It's like your van.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'll show you the whole logo in a little bit. So we met at Yasmin's. We met at her 4th of July party.
Yes.
But I realized afterwards, because I was talking to Anthony, that we met you at the van life meetup in Fiesta Island a couple of months ago. But I didn't hang out with you much because I was doing a podcast with Jess and Mike, right?
That wasn't me, I don't think.
Was it not you?
The last time I went to a van life meetup was like a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was another person named Brooke.
Really?
Because I was telling...
way.
Yeah, so we
Really?
have friends who live in a van with their 50-pound dog. We joke that they're the same couple in a different van.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, we met this rad chick at the party named Brooke. She lives in a transit. And he's like, oh, I remember that girl. I hung out with her. So I guess there's another Brooke that
Oh my God, that's crazy. I want to meet her now.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are you?
I don't know. Now we have a mysterious Brooke out in the ether now.
Yeah.
So you live in a Ford Transit.
I do.
For how long?
So going on, I got here in the beginning of May. So going on 3 months now.
Okay.
But the guy I'm dating says we've been dating for 4 months, and I didn't start dating him until I got here. So I must have got here in April. I smoke a lot of weed. I think it is. It's one of those. 3 or 4 months, but
okay.
Full time. Yeah.
So, but you say you got here. What do you mean?
Oh, so
yeah. Tell us your story. Where are you from? What'd you do? Why are you here?
Yeah. Okay.
Why are you in a van?
Yeah. So it was like my dream to live in a van since I was younger, but I grew up in Texas, and so telling people in Texas that, it was just kind of like, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Like, that sounds so silly and irresponsible. And so I kind of put it on the back burner, and it was just kind of like one of those things I was going to do at some point in my life. And then I was waiting tables when I decided to quit my 9-to-5 downtown sales position. And I quit. I was waiting tables. Chick walks in. I talked to everybody about San Diego, and like I just loved it. And she offered me a place in Venice to live there. So I sold everything I had, drove out to Venice, worked at a bar there for a year. Still didn't really think about van life. Still was just kind of like, yeah, I'll totally do it one day, I promise. And then I moved down here. Random events happened, and I moved down here. Met a girl when I was waiting tables down in Cardiff. Fell in love with her. I was like praying for a friend because I didn't have anybody down here.
Right.
She was doing RV life. She was still van and lifing it, but in an RV, and she was doing it alone. And I was like, if you can do it, I can do it. So like 6 months later, I bought a van. Then I moved back to Texas to build out the van because I didn't want to pay for rent here and try to build this thing out. So moved back to Texas. Ended up actually building it out in Kansas. Guy from Australia ended up flying over to help me build it out. He van lifes it out there.
Okay.
And I got stuck at electrical. Like I had done everything. Like I'd done the floor, the insulation. And then I was starting to do electrical, and I was like, I had studied it over and over, and I was like, I can't figure this out enough to where I felt confident that I wasn't going to either kill myself or something was going to start a fire at some point. So he ended up flying over and helping me with everything. It was literally a godsend. Like, I wouldn't be here right now talking if he wouldn't have helped me.
Who's this guy?
He's just
just like some angel from nowhere.
He was on Instagram. I would talk to anybody that would van life it, and I was looking specifically for the layout I wanted in my specific van. So I was searching for this specific van I wanted, found him, and was like, hey. He ended up building his entire van by himself. So I had all these questions, and he wanted to help me, but he was like, it's just too much information for me to constantly like try to tell you, because there's so many different, like, okay, now
variables.
What do I do? Yes, exactly. So he was like, I'm just going to come over. And he ended up being a genius. Like, if I wanted something done, if I was like, no, I want a drawer there, he'd be like, all right, cool. I wanted a wall right here. And the way that he cut this out almost perfectly to fit, it looks manufactured. Like, wow. It's insane how amazing. And he didn't charge me anything.
Dope.
Wow.
Dope. Yeah. That's crazy.
And I didn't have to do any like sexual favors either. Like, it was really great.
I wasn't gonna ask
like
that.
I knew. Wow, so
it was hanging in the air.
I know. I know. It's everyone's like, she totally got with him. No,
he's a hot Australian.
And he was really cute, but it just wasn't there, and I didn't want to like force it, right? Of course, I would love for it to have been like this beautiful romantic story
made for each other.
Yes, but no.
We have a van in 2 different continents.
Yes, yeah, exactly. How beautiful. But no, it didn't end up that way. Oh, well. It's okay. Still a great guy.
Rad.
Still an amazing human
good
being.
friend.
So why Kansas then?
Everything just fell into place. Like, when you know you're supposed to be on this certain path, like, it just falls into place. And for me, my mom lives in a small home in Texas, and my aunt lives in this enormous, like, she's just really well off, and she has 2 homes.
Yeah,
and she ended up not being there, and she was like, oh, well, we have a large garage, and you and him can stay there. And so I was like, perfect. So I drove my van up there, and he flew, and I picked him up, and so it just kind of ended, everything just kind of, my family had to trust me a lot to bring some man from another country over, because we don't know him. And I would joke a lot and be like, please don't kill me. He's like, I won't. I'm like, you're not saying it very convincingly. Like, I'm going to need you to really promise, like, pinky promise on that one. So, yeah, it's a really, the things that had to happen in order for me to be here, it's a really crazy story. Like, it's just a lot of little stories. And it kind of blows my mind. So I know, like, the next step of whatever this is supposed to be is really going to be cool. I'm just not sure what it is yet.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to say something, and feel free to disagree with me.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear your experience. Fuck Venice Beach, California.
Okay, complete opposite.
Okay.
I'm madly in love with that place.
Okay.
Reason being is because I knew nothing about California whatsoever. I was coming in completely blind. I had no one's opinion. Actually, people hated LA, and I was like, and I actually did too, because I had only experienced San Diego. I was like, yeah, fuck LA.
Yeah.
But then and I was kind of bummed that I was going there instead of San Diego. But when I got there, the house that I was staying in was a 1-bedroom, fully furnished apartment with a balcony. I was paying $1,100. I'm talking like...
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
Okay, well, that might soften my hate for that place too.
Everything, I'm telling you, my story just kind of is crazy. But so it was and I am probably this far from the beach.
No shit.
The place that I end up working at is where the water tower is. And so this was just kind of everything. Like, I didn't ever move my car. And so I loved it. And being there on the boardwalk, everyone just got to be who they wanted to be. You didn't have to, like, act like any certain way. If you were crazy, you could act crazy. If you were a slut, you could be a slut. Like, you could literally be who you were, and no one looked at you weird, no one judged you, and it was just a really beautiful time. And I miss it sometimes when I get kind of caught up in social media or like anything, like being there. The girls were just so down to earth, and like they weren't catty and judgmental, and like you just don't meet girls, like a group of people that are just like, yeah, everyone's just living life and loving it. But if I was van lifing it, I don't know, because I'm nervous to van life it in LA. Like, I hear it's pretty insane. or like can be pretty rough. I don't know. I've never tried it. I've never been up there. Have you been?
I lived in East Hollywood for 4.5 years.
Okay.
And I actually surprised myself by falling in love with LA. But I don't like the west side. My thinking is if you go to LA, you go there to be in a city. And the west side is not the city. My attitude is like, I actually some people walked past me yesterday and they said something that I kind of hated at first, and then it really sunk in and I was like, oh, you were right. And just overheard this complete eavesdropping, but these people were walking the opposite direction from me and they were like, Encinitas is like the Ojai of San Diego. And I was like, yeah, I hate that, but yeah, you're kind of right.
Yeah.
It's like a little hippie and becoming very gentrified, but still a little gritty and like free. And my attitude about Venice Beach is in the west side of LA is very colored by having lived here. And my thinking is, if you're going to live near the beach, go to San Diego, go to North County, San Diego, where it's actually slow. Don't live in a place with putrid water that has all the bad aspects of a city without the diversity of a city. Because when you get over into Los Angeles, there's food. And in Venice, you can't rent a place for $1,100 unless you luck into it, right? And so that's a completely different lens that you were looking at it.
I think so. I think so too, because I agree with you in the sense of like, if you're gonna want to be here, be here.
Yeah, because you can swim in this water.
Yeah, exactly.
It's filthy there.
Oh yeah, I'd never gotten the water. I for sure never gotten the water.
And there are a million people, and I do love the freedom that exists on the boardwalk in Venice. I will cop to that.
It's so weird.
That was the first place I ever saw like right out in your face dispensaries.
Yeah.
And this was way before it was like legalized. It was like right when we saw the medical system, and it would be like, come in and see your doctor and get your medical card.
It wouldn't stop shopping.
It was
my
like
back hurts.
They have a big pot leaf on the window, and they're like, come to this doctor, and I'm like, seems legit. Okay. That was years and years ago.
So we also have another sort of shared similar experience, is that I grew up in the swamp in South Carolina.
Okay.
And I moved to a place my first California experience was a place that I despise substantially more than Venice. I moved to Orange County for grad school. And I had a great time because it was the first time that I had ever had like decent surf and sunshine at the same time before, because we grew up with shitty surf, and the only time it was big at all is when it was like storming. And so I was a pig in shit, even though Orange County sucks, because it was like, I'm in California now, but it's
all that mattered to me.
The beaches are pretty in Orange County.
Yeah, they are. And the culture is basically the same as South Carolina, except people say the racist and sexist stuff behind closed doors instead of out in the open.
That's not pleasant.
What town did you grow up in Texas?
So I'm from like a small West Texas, San Angelo, if anyone knows. Yeah, people are usually like, what? So the last 10 years that I lived in Texas, I was in Dallas. So I just tell everybody Dallas, and everyone's like, oh yeah. But no, the more that I meet other people and the more that I adventure into this lifestyle, the more, like, yes, I traveled, and yes, I feel like I've like experienced other cultures, but I haven't experienced like getting to know why people are who they are from different cultures and around America. And so I've been very sheltered in the fact that I feel like I might not know a lot about what other people want to talk about. Does that make sense? So like if I met you and you wanted to talk about surfing, I'm like, I know nothing about the ocean.
Right.
So I feel very sheltered in a sense, like I don't know a lot about the ocean. I didn't know a lot about drugs. Like people wanted to do drugs, and I'm like, what? And I think it's because I came from such like I didn't know to ask about Molly. I was like, what is that? Or like people drop acid all the time. Like it's smoking weed sometimes. I'm like, why don't even come close to me. Like that makes me very nervous. Like I've never even seen acid before. But like people out here are just very like open-minded in that way. And I thought I was open-minded, but I'm seeing just so much around here, and it's very interesting. I'm loving it, but being from Texas, I think you're sheltered, and then being from a small town in Texas, you're even more sheltered.
Yeah. How many people do you know?
Probably 90,000. So it's not that
city.
small. Yeah, it's a city. It's not like.
But there's not other stuff close to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just kind of the opportunity there. It's just not there. It's just kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so, I love the city, but I mean, I love the town, San Angelo, but I just can't grow up there. It's just not a lot to do. But.
Yeah. What's your familial situation with your folks and
They're
siblings and stuff?
I'm the only child.
Okay.
They're still there. They're kind of like scared of traveling because of what goes on out there in the world.
Yeah.
And so they stay.
When you're used to sameness, man.
Yeah. And that's what drove me crazy when I realized what my life was going to be like. I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I'll end up killing myself. Like, for sure. Like, just mentally. Like, I'll just go into this, like, and not even care about life anymore, and I couldn't. I was like, I can't do this.
That's why I had to move to LA.
That's why I moved to Manhattan.
Yeah. I felt like I was even though Encinitas probably will always be my home base.
Yeah.
I just can't even be here for that long, you know, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
What took you to Dallas?
I don't know. I think I just wanted to get out of that. Well, I went to school in Lubbock. I graduated from Texas Tech, and I think it was either just getting out of that. Like, again, I was doing that for 5 years, so I was like, I gotta go do something different.
Yeah.
And I thought moving to Dallas was like, this is huge.
City girl now.
Oh my God, this is such a big move, you know? I never imagined I'd ever live here. I thought it'd be like when I'm old and had enough money, apparently, like whatever, you know?
Right.
So I still like pinch myself, and I like to remember and try to be grateful because it can be taken away so quickly, I feel like. I mean, now that I'm in a van, not so much, but whenever you're having to spend $12,000 a month, like, if you're not making money as a waitress, you can't, it's so hard to like keep that going. Like on like December, January, February months, it's really hard.
Yeah. So
other times it's nice, but
what about what are you doing for work?
I wait tables. Yeah.
Okay, at a couple of places, right? I thought you said that you worked at 2 places.
In Encinitas and in Carlsbad. Carlsbad makes a lot more money than down here, but yeah, it's just I've always gone back. Every time I've done anything, I've always gone back to waiting tables. It's just makes the most sense to me as far. That's why I said I haven't found what I want to do next, because I haven't placed my passion someplace, you know, and because I am so fickle with like where I want my energy to go, and I want it to be something I love, but I also want it to be something good for the world, but I also, you know, and I can't pinpoint it, but as soon as I do, oh man, watch out, because it's gonna be good. Just don't know what it is yet.
What did you go to school for?
So human development and family studies was my major. Okay. So it's just people. I love people. I want to help people. I want to help people help other people. Like, I want it to be like a thing that just kind of keeps going. I don't know, but I don't want to go back to school to be like a psychologist or a counselor or anything like that. So I have to figure out how to work that in. And so that's what I mean. Serving tables is so nice because you meet so many people.
Yeah, it's a super social job.
So much great conversation with people. You get to make your own schedule. You get cash. People don't know how much you make, so the government doesn't get to tax you on it as much, you know? Like, it's almost like your secret loophole of like, everyone's going to do it. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, no, it's just, and every day is different. Like, you don't know what people you're going to encounter. It tests your patience. You get to, I don't know, test your judgment also. But like, yeah, I love it. But it's also, there's no future in it unless you're going to like own a restaurant, right? And so, and that's another, like, do I want to own a restaurant? Like, I don't know if I want to go down that path. So we'll see what happens. Maybe a restaurant that helps people help people. I just put these two together.
A soup kitchen.
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds lucrative.
Sounds like I'm gonna make tax money.
Yeah, it's gnarly, dude. There's so many things that you could do that are really good and don't get you.
Well, that's why I didn't go down the path of my degree. Because social work, work my ass off. Like, and that sounds really bad not to want to do that, right? But then to get paid 25, 30 grand a year, like, you're out of your mind. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, to do gut-wrenching, like heartbreaking
and then,
work.
Like, killing people and their parents. No, thank you. Like, unless you're going to give me a pretty decent amount, like, it's hard work. That's hard work. Yeah, my heart goes out to the people that do that kind of work.
I know.
Jeez.
Yeah, I worked in the public defender's office when I was in law school, and the guys there, man, like, kudos to them.
Yeah.
Because they work 70 hours a week for a third or a quarter of what they could make in the private sector.
Exactly.
You know, and like dealing with juveniles that have been raped and stuff. It's just like, dude, this is heartbreaking, you know?
And my mom was a parole officer, so all growing up, I lived in like so I'm kind of intrigued by like people that are just broken and like didn't get a life. Like, I think that's also why I took the van life way too, because I just had too much, and I had a lot, and I didn't need all of it, and I didn't really even want it, and I knew other people who had less, and they were just fine. I was like, so I don't know. I'm drawn to those kind of people.
How is your family and your friends? How is your sphere of relationships? How do they feel about the whole van thing?
They think I'm insane.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the complete black sheep of the family.
Right.
And I'm like...
Has it always been that way?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was the only one that had tattoos, like, in the whole family. When I first got one, everyone was like, oh my, it was like this huge uproar. I told them I wasn't going to go to college, and that was a huge uproar. And then I was like, fine, I'll go. Like, I just to make my family happy. When I was moving out to California and leaving the family, that was like, why? What are you doing? Who's going to take care of you? What? I was like, I'm going to take care of myself. What do you mean? Like, I'm totally capable. And so, and they still are, like, my grandmother and my aunt, kind of the relationship kind of didn't stop, just didn't continue growing once I decided this was going to be my lifestyle. Which was sad, because then I had nothing really to talk to them about, you know, but, yeah, I don't really let that decide what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but now my mom is very supportive. She's gotten on board. I've had to really kind of mold her mind into being like, look, I'm happy. Like, I'm really, really happy. And I love what I'm doing. And, like, that if I died tomorrow, which I totally could, at least you knew I was happy up until that point. Like, if I told you every day I was miserable because I had to drive an hour to work, and then I had to sit there and call people nonstop and say the exact same thing over and over and over and over for 8 hours, and I would look at the clock and I'd literally make circles, 8 circles, and I would mark the circles off as the hour would go by.
Oh, wow.
And, like, sometimes I would shade in half the circle because 30 minutes had gone by. Like, not even kidding. Like, and my mom, since my mom was secure in knowing that I was fine, and, like, or what she, in a physical aspect of, like, money and a home and a roof over my head and a boyfriend and a whatever, you know, a man who's gonna take care of me, then it was okay, you know, that my mental state wasn't all, you know, like, she didn't care that much about the mental part of it, right? And now that I'm mentally like, oh, this is everything I've ever wanted, she's like, but who's gonna take care of you when you live in the van and you're a server? And I'm like, but I'm so happy. And she's like, okay. So I've had to really mold her into her supporting me, but now she's like full blown, like,
that's great.
I am, yeah, she's loving. She's like, I'm hoping that you find a van man, and I'm like, thanks. So she's fully, like, on board now. Yeah, my dad, he just doesn't get it. He's like, I don't get what you're doing, but cool. Like, he's just like, whatever.
So what about new relationships here. You haven't been here that long. I always ask my friends who live in vans this question. It's so funny, like, I never knew people who lived in vans until I moved into a van, but I guess if you're a stoner, you make friends with stoners. If you're a yogi, you make friends with yogis, and now I know shit tons of people who live in vans. And I'm always curious about to what extent they're outright and notorious and open about the fact that they live in a van. Do the people that you work with know?
Yes. I don't go around and like, hey, I live in a van. Hey, this is my story. I can't wait to tell people. Mm-hmm. It's more of like, if the answer that I'm trying to answer your question with involves the fact that I need to tell you I live in a van, then I don't mind telling you whatsoever. Being a solo female in a van, though, I try to keep it, because I'm a waitress and because I interact with so many people that I don't know. And I park very close to work, so like I don't want a lot of people that I don't know who they are knowing about it. But if it comes, like, people at work totally know. It's not a secret, and I'm not like, hey, don't tell anyone. But it wouldn't be a surprise if you went up to someone and you were like, oh yeah, Brooke lives in her van, and they go, what? No, she doesn't, you know? So yeah, like, I don't care. I love talking about it to people who want to listen, but I don't want to just tell people who just want to know. Like, I want them to want to know why. I don't want them to just be like, oh, cool, whatever. But relationships are weird, though, because the guy never wants to hang out in the van, which is really odd. But he's like, I mean, if we go on a trip, cool. And I'm like, but no, this is my home. I'm inviting you over to my house to hang out. And he's like, well, why don't you just come over here? And so my van's always like, will either be parked in his parking spot and then we're hanging out at his apartment. I'm like, but I didn't come out here to live like this. Like, if I did, then I would be living like this. I can't. So it's hard to get him into the van. Like, it's hard to pull him into the van, which is very odd, because like, he surfs but he lives on the beach, so it's like, I'll just go home, or like, I don't know. But I'd want him to be more involved in the van life and experience it more, but he's just like, no. So I don't know if that's like, it is, but it's still, it feels like you're like in a fort. Don't you want to like come and hang out?
Exactly. It's like, I feel like
an adventure of its own right here.
It always takes a little while. Here, let me restart this real quick so it doesn't stop.
Oh, baby.
It always takes a little while, I find, to bring people around. But I mean, you're sitting in here. This is like a comfy space that we've sort of created, and people are sometimes resistant. It's way easier because we're a couple, you know? Nobody's like, go sit in your van, what? You know, but because we're a couple and it's like, hey, just come over and drink a beer with us in the van. And people are resistant, and then when they come and do it, they're like, oh, this is dope. You know, like,
friends that know us usually go, well, I'm claustrophobic, and they get weird about this small space, and then they're in it and they're fine.
Like, this is cool. My mom's super claustrophobic, but like over the holidays, I drove.
Claustrophobic, and I'm fine.
Yeah, I drove to the East Coast, and we were like, Mom, come and drink a beer out in the van, and like, she came and sat in the van and had a glass of wine with us.
That's awesome.
Me and Colette and my sister, and maybe you just need to take the dude on a trip so he doesn't have another alternative, you know? Like, let's go out to...
I know. But y'all have set it up so welcomely that it's just like, I don't even know if that's a word, welcomely? Welcome, you know what I meant. But, yeah, and I'm telling you, when you see it, you're going to be like, yeah, I totally get it. I don't know where to stand or put my hands. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. It is. It's very much so set up like that.
Have you stayed in the van with you?
Once, because we were too drunk and I didn't want to drive home. And I was like, this is exactly why I have a van.
It's so fucking cool. Like, that's something that I didn't even anticipate, right? With the van. I was like, oh, the van is cool because you get to go and like... But then it was like, oh, because I do not fuck around with drinking and driving. But it's like, you get drunk in the van or go to a place, and our trick is we'll go to a little cluster of breweries, and before we order our second pint, it's like, who's the cool bartender? And then it's like, hey, so we might get fucked up tonight. Could we leave our car here? We don't tell them it's a van that we live in. And they're like, always, because the breweries are out in industrial areas and shit. They're like, yeah, no problem. I leave my car here all the time. And it's like, okay.
Perfect.
The other thing I find is when I go visit people, they don't understand that I don't want to use their guest room.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, my home's right there.
Oh,
we'll use your shower, but then
take a dump in your toilet.
Oh, for sure. No, and it's so funny at work too. They're like, Brooke, if you need a place to stay, and I'm like, I'm not homeless, guys. Like, I have a place that I love. But they're just so funny. They're like, if you need anything, like stop looking at me like that. I'm fine. It's really funny though, because some people have never even heard of it, and and it's really surprising out here. Like, I get it in Texas that that doesn't even cross their mind, but I feel like out here when you hear them say, what, really? I'm like, wait, you haven't heard of that?
Yeah.
You've been living under a rock?
Yeah.
But
it's a real thing, guys.
It's totally real.
And then once you start, know what it is, you start seeing it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, unless you know, people don't think that I live in it. Like, if you don't know about van life, or if you don't know to look at a fan or solar panels or, like, the side, if you don't know to notice these things, then they're like, oh, it's just like, some guy was like, why is there a UPS van in your parking spot? I'm like, he was like, it's my girl's van, actually. He doesn't tell anybody that I live in it either. But,
yeah. Do you ever get fucked with?
So, thank the Lord, no. Oh, I'm sorry, that was me, Angel. No, I haven't. There's been twice, like one time I got out of my van, opened the door, and there's this guy standing behind the bush peeing, homeless guy, and I was like, oh, okay, and I just closed it, and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and move my car, and so I moved it, because it opened, and he completely was like, hey, what's up, and then one other time I parked, and I heard brushing up against my van, like, and you start to learn what's trees, what's not, what, like, footsteps, oh, it's just my van acting weird, or, like, settling the engine, you learn, right? And no, this was definitely, like, but then I was like, if you're gonna break in, you wouldn't brush up against it. You'd be really careful not to, right?
Yeah.
So, other than that, like,
cool.
Not really.
No tickets or anything?
I've gotten one ticket in Encinitas, remember? And I was like, there's not a sign. Yeah. And I was so angry about it, but I waited too long, and I was like, I'm just gonna pay it, because that's what they expect you to do, and hopefully that you do that. And I did it. But, and I got one dismissed in Del Mar because there wasn't a sign. And they dismissed it. And they said the sign is literally when you're driving in, when Brigantine is right here, and there's a sign about this big, in case you didn't see it, right at the light, and the writing's about this big, and it says no oversized vehicles over 4 hours in one spot. So, like, no overnight. But I think that's why. I was like, you have this one sign in the whole city of Del Mar? Like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you still stay down there sometimes, or?
Yeah, he's in Del Mar.
He lives in Del Mar,
and so he has to park on the street if he wants me to stay the night, because I have to park in his parking spot.
Right. Okay. And I know some people who live in town in vans here, and I mean, I would never claim empathy or solidarity with people who are homeless, but there is an interesting spectrum and correlation between the social space that we occupy and the social space that those people occupy. We're doing it electively, right? You could afford an apartment.
Sure.
We could totally afford an apartment. We choose to live in vans. But we're sort of targeted by the community, and the ironic thing is I've got friends who have brick and mortar jobs in Encinitas who have gotten fucked with or gotten tickets, and now they're staying at their jobs in the parking lots of their jobs because they've gotten permission or whatever. And the ironic thing is that, like, a lot of the jobs here don't pay enough for, you're a server, so you make decent money for like a non-specialized sort of job.
Sure.
But a lot of these jobs, brick and mortar jobs, don't pay enough money for you to, like, live in a place in Encinitas.
Yeah, right? No. You have to, like, go inland, and then you have to drive, and then it's gas, and then it's more expensive, and then the gas out here. Yeah. So, but, yeah, and it is, like, just, the way that people almost see you when you say you live in a van. You know, it's almost like I was saying, like, oh, you're homeless. And it's like, I can't wait till this is more common. Like, I think this is a beautiful way to live. I think more people should be open-minded to the fact that this is an option. Because I think even people that want to do it and think it's an option are still scared they can't do it, which blows my mind. Because I'm like, what? It's easier. It's more simple. You know that you're capable of it because you don't need that much, and you want to do it, but then they think they can't for whatever reason, or this is a dream, and you're like, oh my God, you're so capable for sure of being able to do this. But
I thought I was gonna hate it.
Yeah.
That's why we got such a small van, so that I could afford the apartment at the same time. And you know, I was scared too. You need all those same trappings that you have. You know, it was like the first thing people was like, oh, where do you poop and where do you shower? And it's like, that's the easy part, dude. Like, yeah.
I haven't found any really challenges. I think I was just made for this life and I didn't realize it. But the only thing that I find challenging is like having all the lights on at nighttime, I think. And that's because I don't have a screen for my window. But if I did, then this whole place, like, and getting ready, like, it's hard because I don't have covers for my window. So that's the only thing that I find difficult. But everything else just seems, I mean, yeah, you have to put more effort into things, but I kind of wanted that because I wasn't putting effort into anything. Like, making food, like, you have to put just a tinge more effort into wanting to be fed, you know, or whatever. But okay, so I have a question about pooping for you guys.
Yes! Marty's favorite question.
Because pooping it solo...
No, you can't interrupt this. This is an important line of conversation. Come up here. Come on up. Say what now?
He's like, so I'll tell you how I poop. No. So pooping... I keep saying pooping. Solo is fine. Because, like, if I have to do it in my van, like, I'm cool, whatever, and then I'll dispose of it wherever I dispose of it. But for a couple, if I was living with my dude, do you, like, let her stay in here while she does it?
We don't poop in the van.
Do you have a compostable toilet?
Do you have a toilet?
No.
You don't?
No.
What do you do?
So I'll poop in... Okay, guys.
Oh, this is great.
I'll literally, like, just poop in, like, a bag, and then I'll just throw it away. And, like, I won't keep it, like, I won't hold on to it, like, look for trash, like, usually, or I'll go inside. But if I can't go inside, or, like, early in the morning, and there's so many, like, public trash cans, but but it's like, yeah, totally.
You're so badass.
Hilarious. You think that's badass? I think it's like I don't mind doing it by myself, like, I'm like, whatever. And then I'll dispose of it. I kind of feel like, in the beginning, I felt like a dog, for sure. Felt like an animal. Definitely felt like an animal. And then disposing of your own waste, like you would a dog, again, just makes you feel very, like...
You just gotta get poop bags, and then when you go to throw it away, nobody will think anything of it.
See,
You'll be like, oh, just throw it out my dog.
We got like 10,000 of them for $11 on Amazon. Well, we got them all up there.
Yeah, the hard part about that, though, is it doesn't stay open. So paper bags stay open by themselves.
But you know. So this is why you order out a lot for food.
Like, I just
get the paper bags.
That container that I eat out of, and then I'm like, oh, what do I do with this now? I'm just kidding.
No. That is fucking funny.
We only poop in toilets so far.
I usually just wait till I get to work.
We have.
I guess if I had a dude in there, I could never. Like, I'd know.
Oh, we poop in front of each other all the time. That's
pooping in front of each other is fine. Pooping in a bag in an enclosed space in front of people is a whole nother story.
I admire you. I don't know that I could do that.
You
alone
could if you had to.
If I got used to it. I think probably if we do a bigger van, we might get one of the compostable toilets.
Yeah, we'll get a Nature's Head when we get a bigger van.
And I definitely wanted to go that route, but they're like $1,000. And so when I was building it out, I was like, I don't want to invest in that right now. And I did get a toilet, like one that I pulled out, peed in, didn't ever poop in it. But keeping the pee in the van with me grossed me out, because I wouldn't dump it, like, every other day. I would wait till it was full, which would be like a week. And
right.
I'd be like, this is grossing me out. Like, when it gets like stuffy in here, no.
Yeah.
So I took it, put that in my storage, and now you just pee in like a mason jar and dispose of it.
Yeah. We have an OJ bottle that we pee in, and I guess the size limitation is a good thing because it means that we empty it at least once a day, if not 3 times a day or whatever.
It still stinks though.
Still stinks. But we wash it whenever we're in the
and I do mine
kitchen.
like as I have it. Like I'll put a lid if I'm not somewhere where like people can see that it's pee in a glass jar, because I might put tape around it too, but I gotta see when it's full. But yeah, it just instantly, and then so there's no, I don't think I can. Like, so with dudes, I'd be like, you have to pee outside. Don't ever poop in here. I won't poop in here either. If it was with the guy, but with myself, I'm like, I don't mind the smell. It's just me, and it goes away instantly.
We pee in the same bottle.
We pee in the same bottle.
Yeah.
If we,
you have to get pretty close.
But if we don't. If we were to poop in the van, I think it would be into a receptacle that was designed for that.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have any issues about doing it in front of each other.
We have our We have our emergency plan for Marty.
Oh yeah. We regularly.
What is that? Like, what if you did have to what if you're in a spot?
I absolutely had to shit.
Yes.
I've thought about it.
Okay.
Right? Because. So we use, these are like the mixed nuts containers from.
I'd love to see you try to shit in that. Do you just put it on your? I guess.
I think you would just put it on your butthole and
demonstrate it for us.
I guess it just seems so small. I guess
my butthole's not bigger than that.
I know, but I mean, like aiming. I guess because girls.
I would just hold it up against my cheeks.
Do guys pee when they poop?
You make me want to do this now, just for the experimentation.
Well, but guys don't pee when they poop. Girls do.
Oh, I do too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I think I've actually thought what I would do is I'd get the pee bottle. And then hold this one place and the pee bottle another place.
I know it probably. Whoa, baby!
That fell.
Go up your butt. I'll be there holding the pee bottle, and he'll be holding the trash can. It'll be a team.
There you go. I like it. That you're a
babe, help me out.
You're a keeper. You are a keeper.
He was so drunk. Can I tell this story on the podcast?
Well, I'm going to edit it, so yeah, let's see which story it is and see if it stays in.
He got so drunk when I was at work one morning, and it was like by 4 p.m. on a Friday, he was just ready for bed. He was so drunk. And I got off of work, and he was supposed to meet me, but he didn't, and I went over and found him. And he's like, can we go home? And I'm like, well, fuck, okay, fine. And we get back to the van, and I put him to bed, but he gets up to pee, and he just completely is missing the thing, and I had to just put his penis in place over the bottle and hold it there while he peed, because he's standing there all drunk, not even registering that he's peeing on himself and the floor. And so I had to hold his wiener in place.
I love it.
She's not just my girlfriend, she's my helmet.
I love it.
I was
That's true love right there.
And then I kidnapped him. I had to go to rehearsal, I had to go to work that night. And I was like, hey babe, let's take the van, because I'd have to go Friday night and then Saturday morning. So I was like, oh, we'll go stay in San Diego so I don't have to drive back and forth. And I kidnapped him. We got halfway there and he's like, where are we going?
Don't worry about it.
I was like, you're fine.
And then I woke up at 7:30 and started watching rap videos and drinking some more.
Because it's morning time for you now.
Went to a bar and partied.
That night.
Danced all over the bar.
Almost knocked over a table.
That sounds like a fun evening.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was so funny. And then but he had pee all over himself
as he goes on with the evening?
No, I think he changed. Well, knows. I don't remember. I didn't change his underwear for him.
Changed. What's
That's
the difference?
his own problem.
That's great.
It was funny.
Wow.
I'm so glad that I found out how you pee and poop. It's everyone's question, and I hate to tell people I poop in a bag because usually I don't. It's probably once a week.
Like an emergency sort of situation.
Yeah, emergencies.
Just at night or
I could go inside a restaurant. This is just easier.
Can't be bothered.
Oh, we regularly do that.
Yeah.
It's we will pull up to a restaurant that has all the facilities, and it's
I'm just gonna pee
in the van real quick before we go.
Yeah, it's just easier sometimes.
Yeah.
But and you don't know how their bathrooms are gonna be. Sometimes you luck out and you're like, dope. These are dope bathrooms.
Ooh, I love rolling into a bathroom early morning at a restaurant and seeing suds in the bowl. I don't even put the
And the
seat
thing's still
cover
up
down or
because it has
anything.
no one's
Yeah.
used it yet.
You're like, yeah, this is a
Fancy
fresh,
bathroom.
clean toilet
Smells
seat.
nice in there.
Do you have a gym membership?
Yeah,
Yeah.
LA.
LA?
Yeah.
Okay.
And LA Fitness, yeah.
And I chose LA Fitness over 24 hour, and they're not 24 hours, because they had warmer water. Like,
Oh.
I tested out their showers, and I was like, shut up, can't do you.
24 hours sucks.
They
It
really,
really
do.
does.
I think it's because they know that their clientele is like people that come in and use their facilities more than their gym facilities, more like
Yeah.
and so, and LA Fitness they're not like, I just hang out with a bunch of old folks, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Encinitas 24 is mostly old folks.
Yeah, and I think you're totally right.
It's not.
They
it's
situate
not
them in
nice.
places most of the times where the shower facilities are only used by a few people
Yeah.
because everybody goes home to shower
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. But then if you go into cities where it's very common for somebody to like commute in and then go work out on their lunch
Sure.
break or whatever, they have towel service and all of that. We've got 24-hour, but we're about to go on a trip for a couple of months, and so I think we're gonna get Planet Fitness because it looks like it's everywhere.
Where are you headed? What are y'all doing?
We're gonna go to at least Chicago, probably New York.
Yeah,
and
nice.
then
This is a great time to do it.
Canada, probably. We've like 7 weeks or something.
Yeah.
So what do y'all do for income, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now, I'm between contracts right now. I do consulting and videography and stuff.
Okay.
And she works at Modern Times.
Oh, yeah. You told me that, yeah.
Yeah, and I do theater directing.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I just have some money saved up, and
Nice.
my grandparents are not doing so well, so we're gonna go see them. And
That's
all my
wonderful.
family lives out there, and
Oh, that's going to be
Yeah.
a beautiful trip.
yeah,
Good for you
we're
guys.
excited.
Yeah,
He's
we're
never been to
stoked.
Chicago.
Never
I
been to
love
Chicago.
Chicago, so we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's so much to see,
Get
too.
to meet
and
all my fam.
experience.
The guy that wrote my favorite improv book. I'm an improviser. And
Oh, nice. Is that where y'all connect? I mean, I see a lot of similarities.
yeah,
but,
we're
like,
both
is
theater
that-
people.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was like a random extra thing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's bomb.
We didn't know until we
That's
started
so
dating. It was
cool.
like, oh, theater, yeah, theater.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
actually
hear a lot of
worked with the
similarities
playwright that her thesis, she directed a play that was written by a woman that I worked with when I was in college.
Oh.
And so,
Wow.
And that's
What a
when we met.
small
I was in
world.
the middle of that.
yeah, it was weird that just happened to happen.
How did y'all meet?
Drink a beer.
Yeah, at the bar I used to work at Culture, and
Okay.
he was a regular there, and
Nice.
that was it.
Yeah, cool.
He asked me out on Valentine's Day. We went out. That was our first date.
On a group
I
date.
almost
With 8
failed
other
because
people.
I was like, oh, I don't want to go out with someone on Valentine's Day, but I did it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did.
Oh, I love it.
So how are you planning on leveraging van life? What's next? What are you gonna do? Is there like exploration? Like,
So, yes, and I mean, like, okay, so I also wanted to get into it because I wanted to save money. Like, I wanted my
Right.
lifestyle, but I also wanted to save money.
yeah.
I also didn't want to work that much. So, I'm trying to save money to go travel, not in the van per se, like overseas. I really like international travel, but the van was a way to be able to do international travel. So I have a couple of trips coming up with that. As far as the van goes, so we just went to Big Sur last 4 days ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was magical.
We who?
Me and Yasmin. Not
Oh,
the
okay.
Yaz and Kate that live at that house, but the other Yasmin. There's
Okay.
another one there.
Yeah.
And that's how I got invited to that house, through
Okay.
Kate. But yeah, we met another guy up there. We pulled into a viewpoint because he was hot, and we were like, hey, what's up? Where you from? Like, you live around here? And he was like, yeah, I live in my car right there at the next viewpoint. We were like, what? Crazy. So we sat and talked to him for like the next 4 hours, and he's writing a book, and it was just very magical. Just what this allows you to experience.
Yeah.
But no, I have so many little trips. Going with her was the first time I'd ever adventured with a girl, like camping wise. Usually it's with a dude, and he does everything, and so I don't really pay attention. And I've always wanted to, but it was always kind of like, yeah, you're doing it, it's great, I'm gonna get drunk over here and listen to music. But now I've wanted to get more into like solo camping. I'm just not as confident. I'm still a little insecure about like how to hang a hammock and if these trees are okay to hang a hammock on, and like how do you know? And so little things like that. But hopefully I want to do hit seriously all of California, inland and the coast, like go up inland and then come down on the coast. And I really want to do that with somebody. I want to experience it with somebody. So really hoping that a guy comes along that really wants to do this or is capable of taking off time to do it. And if not, hopefully I can get my goal is to have money saved up to be able to do it and pay all my bills and everything by next summer. So this summer I have my international trips that I'm trying to do, and then that big California trip next year.
Yeah,
Nice.
cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
Where are you going internationally?
So I'm getting certified to go diving in Fiji, because
Cool.
apparently, it's like this unreal coral that hasn't been destroyed yet. And Yasmin is a diver, so she's getting me involved in this to go with her. Like, it was never on my bucket list, and she was like, put it on your bucket list. I was like, okay. So I'm crossing that off my bucket list here, and I think we're gonna go in October. And then just some Mexico trips, but I don't really count those as international.
Yeah, they're so close.
Yeah, it's like right here. Yeah, so. Do y'all want to check out the van?
Yeah. Hey, bud, is there anything else we need to cover?
No, we got all the way to pooping.
We talked a lot about pooping.
We've done it all right. People are curious. People want to know what
Yeah.
the pooping deal is.
the
Now
pooping
they know.
situation
Now
is.
they
They
know.
do. Now they know.
All the forums.
Pee and dump. Poop at other places.
Poop in a bag.
Poop in a bag. Just do it once in your life. It's not that
I'm
bad.
super fucking
It might
curious
happen.
now.
I think
gotta
I'd
do
rather poop in a bag than like in a dirt patch in like if we were out hiking or something or camping.
it. You still haven't done that?
No.
I like doing that.
Oh my
I think my
God.
bowels
I love
kind of
doing
shut
that.
off. They're like, you're not near your plumbing, so we're just not gonna work right now.
Oh,
We were out in Anza-Borrego,
I love the desert.
and
need
there was
that.
this like beautiful hike, and we had eaten some mushrooms.
Is it the one with the oasis?
And no, there was a little waterfall that wasn't running
Okay.
when we were
Yeah, 'cause
there.
it was real hot and dry.
But right as my trip started to come on, I was like, I have to poop. And I took like maybe one of my favorite poops of my life.
Really?
Like,
dug a little hole.
there in a hole.
You got real into it. You're
It
like,
was
this is going to be
awesome.
glorious.
I was tripping, and I was like, ah. Well, and the thing is, like, at first I was like, it was kind of like van life. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to poop right now. I'm tripping. I don't want to poop. I don't want to poop. And then I pooped, and I was like, I'm so glad I pooped.
No, seriously. And you feel like almost one with nature in a weird way. Like I went hiking in Big Sur barefoot. I suggest you do it at least once in your life. Go on a hike barefoot, because it makes you feel like you're like at home, just hanging out, walking around, and it happens to be in your backyard, and then you're like, this is my backyard. It's really crazy feeling.
There's so much human experience that we have purposefully forgotten about and
Or
sheltered
taken
ourselves
away
from.
like, oh, we need to put shoes on our feet. So, and
Yeah.
you're like, no, don't put shoes on your feet.
Yeah.
Or like, stop putting these barriers in between you and feeling free, you know?
That makes me think about a really pretty thing that you said earlier, which is the whole, like, as long as the man is there to take care of you, and as long as you have the job and the apartment and stuff, it doesn't matter if your mental health is totally fucking messed up.
Right.
You know?
It just looked like everyone else, it makes other people feel comfortable. And
Yeah.
It's like, what?
This person is predictable.
Yeah, it's like, what?
And that makes
I'm
me
living
feel
my
safe.
life now for you. And you and you and you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
Cool. Let's go check out your van.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's a little, like, there might be random panties on the floor, but I'll try to...
The only reason we got up this morning was to judge you.
Okay, cool.
That was our goal for the
All
day.
right, awesome.
Well, that was fun. Brooke is a delightful young lady, and it was really good to sit down and get to know her a little bit better. You know, we hung out and drank a few beers and hung out on the beach for a day, but that was basically the extent of the time that Colette and I had spent with her before that. It was super good to sit down and get to know her a little bit better. Thanks a lot for listening. If you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it. And make sure to check in next Tuesday for another episode of From the Van.